Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell the truth about silver. Today is Saturday the 23rd of October 2021 and we're publishing our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 22nd of October. And once again we see higher prices both for gold and silver, but they were knocked quite hard on Friday. So let's take a look. Yes, indeed, gold rose $25 last week, rising from $17.68 to $17.93, having actually hit a high of $18.14 and a low of $1,760, an overall rise for the week of 1.4%, showing slightly higher lows and slightly higher highs than the previous week, as it did the week before. In sterling terms, gold finished the week at £1,303, up £17, and in euros it closed at €1,540, that's up €16. Silver did better. It rose $1.04, rising from $23.32 to $24.36, having hit a high of $24.84, not quite reaching that $25 mark, and a low of $23.03, a rise of 4.4%, and like gold, putting in higher highs and higher lows. In sterling terms, silver closed at £17.70, that's up 73 pence on the week, and in euros it closed at 20.91 euros, that's up 0.80 euros. The gold to silver ratio fell again from 75.8 to 1 to 73.6 to 1. Now, Bitcoin has also fallen this past week, some $1,277, and stands at $60,296. But it did during the week reach its all-time high of $66,930. The Dow Jones closed on Friday at 35,677, up 74 points on the day and up 383 points on the week. The S&P 500 closed at 4,544, down 5 points on the day, but up 73 points on the week. And the Nasdaq Composite closed at 15,090, though down 125 points on the day, it was up 193 points on the week. Now, this week's rise has ensured that all of the major US exchanges are now in positive territory for the month, and showing gains between 25 and 30% for the year. So much so for those predicting a collapse of the equity market, of which there have been many. We anticipated dips which have occurred, but have said that any real fall that does occur won't be until Biden's infrastructure package has been passed and implemented. Brent crude closed at $85.53, up 67 cents on the week, and WTI crude closed at $83.76, up $1.48 on the week. Once again, we've seen all week that oil prices are pretty well entrenched now in this $80 level. The dollar index stands at 93.64. That's down 0.29 points on the week. Now, we concluded last week's video with the following forecast. We expect to see gold trading between 1740 and 1820, with 1700 and 1850 as outliers. We can see silver trading between 22.50 and 24, with $22 and 24.50 as outliers. Well, gold traded exactly within our range as predicted, and silver traded within our outlier range, though breached it ever so slightly for a very short time and then fell back well within that range. But obviously silver showing more positive momentum. Gold, you see, fluctuated between 1814 and 1760. That's $54 compared with the previous week's $50. And silver fluctuated between $24.84 at its high and 23.03 at its low, a difference of $1.81, the largest disparity in fact for some weeks now. Though, we have to admit, we have seen videos out this week saying it's going to the moon or something similar. We're on the verge of a major significant breakout, and whilst $1.81 is noteworthy, doesn't constitute a significant breakout as yet, for sure. Each morning we've produced daily updates expressing the reasons for the various price movements and news which could affect their price that day and that week. And so please do tune in to those videos to get those updates. Now this week's economic data, US economic data that is, was mixed, with lower industrial production and capacity utilization together with lower building permits and housing starts all for September. The Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index was also disappointing for October, coupled with September's leading economic indicators. Friday's announcement for the market manufacturing flash PMI for October was also below expectations. But on the positive front, though, initial and continuing jobless claims were down, existing home sales were up, and the flash services PMI for October was well above September's figure and higher than expectations. The fear of inflation, though, which has dominated headlines these past few weeks, perhaps helped both gold and silver prices this week, though we have to bear in mind that although there may be a flight to precious metals when inflation raises its head, that then has to be counterbalanced by the central bank's reaction to dealing with it, i.e. raising rates, as is proposed in the United Kingdom, or reducing bond buying, which may come into effect, or announced at least, on the 3rd of November, both of which then act as headwinds for precious metal prices short term. We have to bear that in mind. We've also seen a flight to cryptocurrency and especially to Bitcoin of late. And that too has had an effect on not pushing precious metal prices higher than they are. Now, yesterday, for example, we saw gold's ascent severely knocked by Fed Chair Jerome Powell's statement. In regards to tapering, Powell said that the US Central Bank was, quote, on track to begin reducing its purchases of assets. Speaking virtually at a webcast during a panel discussion at the BIS-SARB Centenary Conference, Powell said that the US labour market might continue to improve and reach maximum employment next year, thereby inferring that the Federal Reserve is ready to use interest rate hikes to combat inflationary pressures. He added that inflation continues to have the risk of moving higher and persisting for a longer period than it had originally anticipated. And we've seen this reflected in other countries throughout Europe as well. So with this in mind, looking at gold from a technical perspective, on the bullish side, it's broken above the 50-week EMA, but Friday's sell-off has caused a degree of market confusion as to where it's going next. Now, of course, attention will be placed on the 10-year bond yield and the US dollar value to gain some direction. But with that in mind, there is strong support at 1750 and even stronger support just below the 1700 level. The upside, though, has some resistance at 1835. Now, to be a little more precise and technical, support lines stand at the 50-day moving average at 1779 and September's lows of 1721. Short-term momentum has turned negative as the fast stochastic generated a crossover sell signal. The MACD histogram is printing in positive territory with a flat trajectory, which suggests consolidation. Silver broadly moved in tandem with gold, but with a little more gusto. Technically, we have support at the 10-day moving average of $23.46 and resistance at September's highs of $24.82. Like gold, short-term momentum's turned negative as the fast stochastic generated a crossover sell signal, and the MACD histogram is printing in positive territory with a flattening trajectory, which points to consolidation. So short of any differing economic announcement next week, we can expect gold and silver to continue to move in tandem, but perhaps slightly different percentages. The main news headlines have not really focused on Powell's comments as yet, though we suspect that may come either tomorrow or on Monday morning. Now, before we give our price forecast, let's take a look at the economic data being published in the United States next week, which could have an impact on prices. On Monday, there's nothing scheduled. Tuesday, Consumer Confidence Index for October and new home sales for September. Wednesday, durable goods orders, core capital goods orders and advance report on trading goods, all for September. Weekly jobless claims will be announced on Thursday, together with GDP for quarter 3 and pending home sales index for September. And then on Friday, quite a bit. Nominal personal income, real disposable income, nominal consumer spending, real consumer spending and core inflation, all for September. With employment cost index for quarter 3, Chicago PMI for October, and the UMich Consumer Sentiment Index for October. So Tuesday, Thursday and Friday are the more important days to observe, with Friday again likely to have the most impact simply because of the volume of data being announced. So where do we see gold and silver prices moving this coming week? Well, we were generally bullish gold and silver these past 2 weeks, and yesterday's sell-off and Powell's remarks certainly will limit that bullishness very short term. We knew that ahead of the FOMC announcement on the 3rd of November, we were likely to have gold and silver price weakness. But the issue is, when will that occur? The day before, a few days before, a week before, 2 weeks before? And from what level will that weakness happen? Now, we've little doubt there will be Fed tapering announced on the 3rd. The issue is, to what extent has the market already allowed for it, and how afraid are they that it may prove more aggressive than anticipated? With that in mind, whilst we're certainly not ruling out the possibility of higher prices this coming week, we believe any will be measured, and the odds are potentially lower prices by the end of the week, especially if the jobless claims data continues to improve and core inflation continues to rise. Of course, if those two are reversed, then that may be a different matter. So, we're going to expect to see gold trading between 1750 and 1835, with 1720 and 1860 as outliers. We see silver trading between $23 and $25, with $22.50 at the lower end and $25.50 at the upper end. That's it for now. Please, we are placing links in the description box below to videos we've produced over the last week or two which may be of interest. Do click on those if any of them capture your imagination. If not, please share your thoughts, subscribe, press the bell sign. Thank you so much for listening. Have an enjoyable weekend and a prosperous week ahead. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.